Hello, friend. My name is Asindra, and today I'm going to be playing for you Once Upon a Windswept Night by Ebi-hime. Now, there was a line before this that was just, what? But it clicked and I can't make it go back. So, you blink, your eyelashes fluttering. You don't know where you are, or even who you are, and the room is dark. No matter how you strain your eyes, you cannot make out any details. It's cold and quiet here, save for the panic sounds of your own breathing. For all you know, you could be the only person alive in the whole world. The world itself seems to have compressed as of late. It's small, shrunken down, no bigger than the size of a walnut. You are trapped inside, all on your own. Or are you? The longer you sit there, or stand there, lie there, you cannot tell. The warmer your inert body becomes. Your fingers twitch. Ah, yes, you have fingers. You remember now. For a short while, though it felt like much, much longer, you had quite forgotten. You have fingers you can use to touch, a nose you can use to smell, and ears you can use to hear. Arms and legs, a head. You are a person after all. It's fortunate that you remembered. You were beginning to doubt the nature of your own existence, lost amidst the aether of non-being. For all you knew, you could have been a cat, a dog, or an amoeba at the bottom of the ocean. You are not any of those things. You have remembered that you are a living creature, a human being to be more precise, and that you have been given the right to live. And that has given you the right to live. It is a right afforded only to a precious few. You should cherish the life you have. You understand that now. If only your surroundings would become clearer, then you might be able to plan an escape route. You know that you can't stay here. It isn't safe. Robbed of your sight, your sense of hearing is more acute than ever before. The sound of silence weighs heavily upon you, broken only by your own heart beating. Yes, it is beating. You take comfort in this fact. That organ pumping away inside your chest is proof that you are alive. You exist. You do. How else will you test your existence? You open your mouth, forming shapes, all the vowel sounds, A-E-I-O-U. No sound comes out. Why should it? There's nobody here to talk to in this dark and desolate void, though it would be nice if there was. Ah. All of a sudden you hear it, off in the distance. Perhaps it isn't so distant. It's a low, crackling sound. Fire, perhaps? And just above that, a dull tick-tock, tick-tock. A clock, then, and the chink of china, the flipping of pages. The scent of peppermint tea and dust. Decades upon decades of dust. The cold, empty environment has spawned life, as though from your own desperate desire for company. Does that make you the center of the universe? You are not alone anymore. But you still cannot see a thing. You might as well be blind. You do not know if you are relieved or not by these sounds. They are cozy, yes, and should be familiar, but you are not sure where you might have heard them before. Maybe from another life. A past life. You swallow, your throat feels dry. But curiosity propels you onwards. You take a slow, unsteady step forward. The floorboards, it is a wooden floor, creak beneath your weight. Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me. An unfamiliar voice falls from your lips. It's a voice you have not heard before. You recognize it only by the virtue of the fact that it speaks when you manipulate your mouth, your tongue pressed against your teeth. Your voice echoes throughout the darkened room. Dozens upon dozens of excuse me repeat, circling about you like dust motes. The flipping of pages pauses. Still, the unseen fire continues to crackle. Somebody is looking at you. You can tell they are looking at you despite the thick darkness that envelops you. You shiver. Strain your eyes. Perhaps you can make out a few details here and there. The wooden floor, a rocking chair, a figure sitting upon it, a dusty old tome in their lap. A girl? Oh my, it has been such a long while since I have had a visitor. She sighs softly. Is that a good thing? It must be lonely sitting in the dark for so long with nothing but books for company. How can she even read these books in the gloom? But this reality seems to operate differently from the one you came from. It's probably better not to ask such things. Otherwise the whole world might fall apart. My name is Lycoris. May I inquire as to your title? Your title? She wants to know your name? That is an awfully good question, but you do not remember it yourself. Your brain strains as you try to pluck the first word you can think of from the air. My name is Asindra. Asindra, is it? Lycoris nods her head. You can see it shifting slightly in the gloom. Well, Asindra, do you know where you are? You shake your head. You have no idea. You just happened to wake up here. That is quite natural. Most of my guests are wanderers, travelers, if you will, who find themselves here for want of anywhere else to go. I am not overly fond of fancy names, so I suppose you could call this my library. You glance about. So it is a library after all. You did wonder. This library is filled with books from all over the world, including some which have not yet been written, and some that need a helping hand. What does she mean? It is difficult to explain, but stories are not born from nothing, you know. Now, seeing that you are here, and I am here, and there is little else to do, would you care to help me? You don't understand. How could you be of any help to her? There is a story in here that has been in a state of flux for quite some time. It is about a traveler, much like yourself, who... But Lycoris pauses. She frowns. I am getting ahead of myself. I apologize. In any event, would you like to listen to this story with me? You are curious. What kind of story is it? It is very important to me. I feel it is connected to my identity somehow, yet it rejects me. It shifts like sand when I try to peruse it, and the words do not stay in the correct order. Such a thing may not be possible in the world you come from, but this universe can be rather unfair. When we want things the most, they slip between our fingers. If you were with me, however, perhaps I would finally be able to reach the real ending of this story. What is so important about you? You don't understand. I do not know, but I feel as though we have a connection. You feel it too, don't you? This story is special to me, but I feel as though it may be special to you too. You press one hand against your chest. Your heart flutters like the wings of a butterfly. She might be right. In fact, you are sure she is. Why else does your heart pound when she speaks to you? So, what do you say? There is nothing to say. You find yourself nodding in dumb agreement. This woman, whoever she is, takes your breath away. Perfect. Now, why don't you take a seat, my esteemed guest? You discover to your surprise that you are sitting in an armchair. When did that happen? This is a very curious library indeed. Let us begin. We shall dive into this story together. We have all the time in the world. Read the story. Once a Once on a windswept night. That's trippy. Sorry. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a traveler. Now, you are probably thinking that this is not a particularly exciting beginning to this tale, and neither is it all that original. There are travelers from all walks of life who wander across lands both near and far for innumerable reasons: business, pleasure, or just plain necessity. This story, however, is a little different. It is not an epic, sweeping tale of grand adventure. There are no sword fights, no dragons, and no princesses sealed away in high towers. It is a lot smaller than that. Humbler. It is a simple story about how one such traveler, who should have been unremarkable by all accounts, stumbled upon a secret tucked away in a small dusty corner where few bothered to venture, and managed to change the lives of two young women. Yes, that sounds like an interesting story. Wouldn't you agree, Asindra? Yeah, sounds cool. Still trippy. That transition. I can't believe this. A shadowy figure was tramping through the moors, a hood drawn over their face. Rain pelted the figure from all sides, and the wind stirred the edges of their worn traveling cloak. Still, the figure did not slow in their solitary march. They could not. If they did, they might collapse from fatigue, and then they would never be able to get back up again. The rain on these desolate moors was unforgiving. It fell from the gray, overcast sky endlessly, threatening to submerge the landscape with water. Not that the landscape was much to look at, really. It's pretty. There were a few scrubby, weather-blasted bushes and a withered old tree that seemed ready to collapse. That was all. C'est tout. It was the travelers' first time in Daqua, and they were not particularly impressed. That accursed goblin. What did he take me for? If I see him again, I'll wring his neck. The traveler cursed under their breath. There was no reason for them to do so, as there was nobody within 100 miles who could hear them, but it made them feel a bit better. It gave them a reason to keep going. Revenge. They couldn't let themselves die out here, not until they had tracked down that conniving, backstabbing rogue and... What? Killed him? No. That would never work. The traveler was a merchant, not a mercenary, and they had never killed anybody before. They were a vegetarian, for goodness sake. They would have to do something else, then. But what? Maybe this was nothing more than foolishness. Daqua was a large country, and the goblin would be long gone by now. They would never see him again. No, I can't back down. I will find him. I will. The traveler's ears twitched. Their nose was running. Ew, gross. They sniffled, trying to stem a trail of snot that was beginning to trickle from their right nostril. That wasn't very appealing. The rain had seeped through their traveling cloak, and this traveler's skin was icy cold. Even their shoes were waterlogged, and they were good shoes, too. High-quality dragon hide from the best tailor in Charlotte. Not that it mattered now. They were ruined. That goblin. I have to find him. I'll show him what for. He could have dropped me off outside the village gates, but no. It's only a 5-minute walk, he said. Follow the path, he said. What path? The traveler had been duped, and they knew it. The goblin had not only taken their money, but had refused to deliver them to their destination. They had been walking for 5 hours, and still not encountered a single dwelling. The rain was getting heavier. The traveler did not fancy their chances. What if they died? But life, as always, has a way of providing when we needed it the most. When things look grim and we have lost all hope, There's always a light to guide us. A light that takes us by the metaphorical hand and envelops us in warmth. I thought this said wrath. I was like, that's very extreme. But no, it said warmth. At least, that is how stories work. It would be a tragically short tale if the main character died within the first 5 minutes. Yes, it would. But it'd be interesting. It was when the traveler finally accepted the possibility of their own imminent death, with teary eyes and a snotty nose, that they chanced upon it. Salvation. There, in the distance, over the tops of one of the many hills, was a shape. A structure. A building. It was no piece of mere vegetation, like the other markers that dotted the environment. This shadow, though faint, had walls and a roof, and there were lights flickering in the windows like fireflies. Ah! The traveler gulped. They had almost succumbed to the cold. Their fiery indignation towards the goblin had faded, alongside their last scraps of strength, and they had been on the verge of surrender. Sweet, blissful surrender. But they could hardly do that now. They had to keep going. I'm just gonna drink some water here. Oh, okay. Oh my, are you alright? The sodden traveler was met in the entrance of the church by a young woman wearing the garb of a nun. Her habit was navy. That's black. That's black. Her hair was cornflower blonde, and her eyes were blue. These blue eyes were fringed by very long, pale eyelashes, and when she blinked, the traveler feared she might lacerate her own irises with them, such was their length. In a word, she was pretty. Almost inhumanely so. Enough to take the traveler's breath away. I am fine. But the traveler was uneasy on their feet, and they faltered. I think, I might need to sit down for a few moments. But of course, please rest a while. The nun took hold of the traveler's hand. Her skin was soft and warm, and the traveler's face flushed from the close contact, not that the nun noticed. The traveler's face was, after all, still obscured by the heavy hood.